it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. Welcome to this episode. Today we're going to be doing something a little different, or let's say we'll be working in a book which is a little different. So we're going to be working on some collages, and I've kind of secretly started to create some collages without filming them, and I'm doing them all in this vintage book, which is actually called His Last Song. And I really love the cover of this book, and this is actually my first real altered book journal. So all I have done is, as you can see here, there's many pages missing. So basically I have taken out all of the pages that are not glued in. So usually when you have books, you have signatures that are sewn in, and you can see here the stitching. But in between those, you'll also always have pages, or I guess with most books, you'll have pages that are actually glued in. So what I've done is I've taken out all the ones that are sewed in, so I'm now left with all the threads here, but I did keep all the ones that are glued in. So that way they are still quite sturdy. And let me just show you how many I took out. So this is what I've taken out. So you see it's a lot. Can you look at this? So originally this book had 179 pages. And now what I have left is 14 pages, but each page is a double page actually, because I always glued two together to make them more sturdy. Depending on the thickness of your pages, you can glue 2 or 3 together. Mine were very sturdy pages, so I only needed to glue 2 together. And I've done, I think, 14 collages so far. So I'm about halfway through the book, and you can already see how bulky it's getting. So that means once I've done all of my collaging, I guess it will be another gator mouth. But that's okay. So that is something you can do. My idea behind this was that I wanted a book that had collages all in the same style. So you'll see all of my collages here are grungy. A lot of them have black and white photos, and they all have similar color schemes with neutral colors, blacks, browns, tans, and a like a honey mustard yellow. So, and another thing I wanted to do in this book was that I'm collaging at least one collage a day. Sometimes I do 2, or I think I've even done 3 in one day. And the other thing I wanted to do is on each page, I wanted to use some element or some technique that I haven't used on any other page yet. This is, of course, getting increasingly difficult the farther I go, but I'm really enjoying this challenge. And what I also did was, after I've done a few pages, I had, throughout the day, I had some more ideas of what I could include that I haven't included yet, and I just used like a scrap paper that I keep in the front of the book, so that whenever I feel like I'm running out of ideas of what to do, I can refer to my notes. And things I have on here, for example, are watercolor, postage stamps, fabric, lace, snippet roll, embellishments like flowers or whatever, number stamps, a wax seal, paint splatters, stenciling, texture paste, or paint like acrylic paint. So this is a good reference to have if you want to do something like this. Let me give you a very quick flip through. I don't want to go too much in depth because I am planning on doing a flip through of the whole book once it's completed. But I do want to kind of give you an idea of the style that I'm going for. So yeah, so these were my first 2, and you see here it's all similar colors and the style is similar for each page. Oh yeah, and one thing I also did is for each, I believe each page has it, I wanted to add a word. And I kind of have them related to the pandemic we're in right now. So this is kind of like my Corona collage book, you could say. It sounds horrible, but yeah, I kind of wanted to just document words and everything we're going through. It's kind of like a visual documentation. Although if you don't consider the pandemic, you can also just appreciate the collages as they are, but I wanted it to have more meaning. And the words I used are, most of them are from this Tim Holtz Ideology Big Chat, and I will link that for you. As I said, I tried to use different elements on each one. I'm not going to go too much into detail. I think you can very clearly see the style that I chose, and yeah, these two are different because they have the pinks in it, but still all the other elements are similar to the other pages. And this is where we are today. So it is currently April 18th today when I'm doing this, and I'm not sure yet which elements I'm going to use. I have two elements that I did kind of want to use, and one of them, I don't know if I want to use him as a focal point or just as like a side decoration, is this guy. So I got him in a Happy Mail a while ago, and he was white. So what I did was I colored him this mustard yellow with my new Tim Holtz Distress Stain Wild Honey. A lot of these pages have the wild honey on it. This actually doesn't. This is watercolor. But I really enjoy using this so much. I haven't had it long and I've already used quite a bit of it. So I just dabbed this on this die cut, and so that's why he's yellow now, to match my theme. And the other thing I wanted to include is this number 150,000, because according to the news this morning, that is the number of deaths we've had worldwide from this pandemic. And of course, by the time this video airs, this number will have gone up again, unfortunately. But that's the number for today, so I kind of wanted to include that as well. I unfortunately tore his leg off, so we'll see if I will mend it or just leave it off. Poor guy. So I want to show you some other elements that I have laying around me. So the easiest way I think to go about this, if you want to do something like this, if you want to have a project where you keep using similar elements, I suggest you just go through all your craft supplies and see what things you have in the color scheme you want to do. So for example, I will try to show you some of my mess here. So I have a whole pile of things, like really a lot of scraps and things laying around next to me on my desk that I can use. These are just beautiful. These are from a Happy Mail. Here I have a little lid of a tin where I have some smaller elements that I think might be fun to use. So I keep those separate, and yeah, and I have some washies, I have some lace ribbon and some stamps, all kinds of things scattered around me. Let us see how far we can get. And also I've been starting to change my gluing technique, so I'm more and more doing the from top to bottom technique, so maybe I can show you that while doing this collage as well. So the first thing, I guess, to do, what I usually start off with, is my focal point. So as I said, I'm not sure that he's going to be my focal point. Might be not bold enough. Originally I thought maybe I was going to use one of these. I've had these forever. These are from a book floral book that I have cut out, and they would have the right color. But then this and this I don't think really go together. I think it would have to be one or the other. If I use him, then he would need a dark background to make him pop out a bit more. So we can check. I have these doilies that were gifted to me. So maybe if we put him on something black, yeah, then he will definitely pop. I mean, I think this kind of looks morbid. But maybe that is a good thing to have because we're talking about these numbers, right? So maybe we should make it a bit morbid. And maybe we only want half. I don't know. I have no idea where this is going, so I'm just going to start pulling some elements that might work. So this, for example, is a Tim Holtz paper. Now I won't be using the flower, but maybe I can use a top of that. And what I've been using a lot is my Joycrafts tearing ruler, which I will try my best to link again below with a link that still works, because sometimes these links stop working. So let me tear a piece off. I want all 4 sides torn. I hardly ever use straight edges in my collaging, actually. So let's see. Yeah, for this one, I really don't know where I'm going with this whatsoever. Yeah, something else I've done is I've put a few coffee stained papers through my embossing folders, and then I went over it with just some honey colored ink, and that also gives a nice effect. If you want it to be darker, you can just keep going over it. Oh look, actually that's very nice. I like it when it's not all the same tone. And you have variations, gradients. So that is very nice. So this is something maybe we could use somehow. And in some of my collages, I also like this beautiful print to show through, because it's one of these old German fonts, which are beautiful. So it would be a shame to cover all of that up. Now I have a feeling this round thing is too big. So what I will do is I will cut this in half. And then he can still sit there. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Maybe you can tell. I find it much harder to work with an element like this than a photo, but I can't tell you why that is. I've also stamped a few large numbers with this honey colored ink on some coffee dyed paper. Actually, for some of them I used this, so you can see the darker, you can see the difference. For example, if we take the 2 6s, this one is done with the distress stain and this one is done with the ink, so there is a big difference there. I wanted to try both, so we could add one of these somewhere. We could even turn it. They don't have to be upright. Even if you can't read it anymore, it doesn't matter. All right. What else do we have? So I have this here, for example, is from a napkin. I have some more here, but it also has the same color range, so I do like using that. Maybe we could use a bit of this. And while you watch me working with these elements, I also want to mention that in case you've seen my last video about the editing, it seems like it had an effect that I didn't want to have, which is from the comments I received, a lot of you said that, or some of you that were thinking that you might have your own channel or you just started out or something, were actually discouraged, I think, by me showing my editing, because you had the feeling that it was so complicated and so much work that you wouldn't be able to do it. But that was totally not my intention for that video. On the contrary, I just wanted to show you how I do it, but it doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. As I've answered in some of your comments, there are so many very, very successful and definitely more successful than my channel. So many videos, crafting videos or crafting channels out there that do not use editing at all. Like, they just film it and put it up as is, and that is totally fine. It's just a different style. It's not as compromised as my videos are, but that doesn't mean they're worse. So please, please, please don't let my editing, just because I do it, get in the way of your having your own channel. I didn't start out editing as much as I'm editing now. This came over time. I have my channel now for 2 years. And so, of course, I'm at a different point where you are if you're just starting out. But you have to understand, this is my way of doing it, and that doesn't mean it's the only way or the correct way or the most successful ways, because there's so many channels out there that are way more successful than mine. And that's fine. Everybody, you know, has a different style and loves different kinds of videos and creators, and that's how it should be. So please don't be discouraged. Do it like you want to do it. Forget all the editing. It's totally not a must. I'm sorry if that didn't come through. I meant that video to help and not to create frustration. I just wanted to say that. And thank you to so many of you who have commented so sweetly on that video. I really appreciate your comments so much. You don't know how much they mean to me. And I think we kind of have a background or a collage. I think this works well. I just have to now find, but I can do that at the end. I can find a place for the number. So I'm quite happy with this. This I can take out for now because we can glue that later. Same with this, we'll glue that at the end. But what is important is what I've done here. So first I will actually distress some of the edges of these parts, hopefully without moving things too much. Since we're doing a page about the virus, maybe I can also mention that I'm so lucky to be in this country, because I think our government did so well in this crisis, and I think they handled everything so well. We had the lockdown pretty early and other security measures, meaning that we are now one of the first countries in Europe to be able to open up some of our shops already. So we were able to open smaller shops as of Tuesday, so that's what, 5 days ago. And this morning I went for a walk, and it was the first time that I've seen Vienna pretty much, I mean, it's not back to normal, of course not, but the most normal it has been in about 5 or 6 weeks. We're now in the 5th week, I think at the end of the 5th week of our lockdown. And I've been to one of the main shopping streets here in Vienna, and I was actually surprised how many shops are already open and how many people are on the streets. That was quite astonishing. Of course, what changed now is that everybody's wearing the masks, and people are of course keeping their distance. But it seems like things are getting back to a kind of new normal. And so I'm happy that our government has done so well to protect people. All right, so now, I don't like this part here because there's like a gap here. So maybe we will move this. Now we have a gap here. All right, let me put it back to how it was, and then maybe we find something that I can put here, because this here definitely needs some, could put some fabric. I have this beautiful fabric that came a long time ago in a Happy Mail, and it's the perfect color. So I could just cut out a piece, but I need my pinking shears. So I think it needs like a square piece. So I'm gonna cut out this little square here. And we can add that. I like that. Maybe even put that over this. Yep, I like that. And we can add some more smaller elements on top later if we want, but I do want to get this base down. So we'll try this method of gluing from the top down. And I'm gonna use my white glue. So I will start off by gluing the most top piece to the next lower one. I'm trying not to go crazy with glue, as I usually do. I usually put way too much glue on everything. I don't know why. All right, see, I already forgot where that was exactly. I'm just gonna put it like this. And then it's always good to have some like kitchen towel or something to dab off any excess glue. Especially with the doily where it comes through all the little holes. Then I will glue this piece onto this piece without moving it too much. So I will just put some glue underneath there for now. And I will of course add more glue later, but I just want to get the pieces connected now at the beginning. So I'll glue this. Then next I will glue this one down. So I will put glue on the back of this one and on this one, just on the edge here. Make sure that's where I want it to be. I would love to know if any of you are familiar with this gluing technique. It does make a lot of sense rather than gluing from the bottom up, but I think it does take practice, for me anyway. So next we'll just put some glue on this edge of the 5. Okay, now all the pieces are connected. Now we can turn it around and we can check if there's any other place where we still need to glue it down a little bit, like here, for example. Everything else seems okay. So now we can glue down the whole thing. All right, now let's add our focal point. So for that, I have this bottle. I got this locally at a craft store a long time ago, actually. Has a little metal tip, and I just put some white glue in here. So I'm gonna try to glue him as best as I can. And why don't we try to attach his leg? I'll sleep better at night if I do this. Okay, that's better. And that will of course dry clear once everything is dried. So now the other elements I wanted to attach were this number, and maybe I'll add this bit as well. So I think originally I had this one here. Either I can use this one instead of a word this time, because that in itself is already a very big statement, I believe. But we can go through the set, and I think it would have to be a black one, because they have white words and black words in here. They're the same, so it's same of the set of the same words in white and in black. So let's see if there's something that might work here. No, I don't really see anything that would work. Okay, so we'll just use this instead of a word. I think that's fine. And I will use my black Jute Distress ink maybe to go around this one to make that stand out more. And I'm doing a horrible job with this. Well, it's getting more grungy. I guess that's okay. Yes, that works. One thing that I see here is I don't think it's the yellow isn't balanced. My eye is being pulled here and here, but I have a feeling I'm missing like a yellow element maybe somewhere here. So if we go through my little box of things, maybe there's something we can use. I mean, I have this butterfly that was just wood, and I colored it with my distress stain. So that would totally work. So you see here, kind of have a triangle again, so that works. I like that a lot, actually. Is there anything else here that would work? These are cutouts from another fabric, but I think this is too big. Yeah, this is going to be too big, while this is, this would actually work too. Two tiny flowers from that same fabric. Let's see. No, I'm not sure. This one or this one? No, I think I want the butterfly. I'm really liking the butterfly, and I'm gonna use my 3-in-1 glue to make sure he stays on. Lastly, I always put the date in pencil because I don't want it to be a dominant element, so I'll just put it up here. 18th, 2020. So that's my collage for today. Maybe you want to give it a try to make a collage book. Obviously, you can make your own collage book. It doesn't have to be a vintage altered book. You can just use any pages you like in any journal. And you see it's really getting bulky, but that is totally fine. I'm really enjoying working in this. I have a hard time to only do one collage a day at the moment. And I'm not getting sick of these colors, even though this is my 15th collage now. And I'm still totally obsessed with this color scheme. Anyway, so thank you so much for tuning in and for hanging out with me. And I hope this gave you some more inspiration on collaging and working with themes maybe. So please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see more, and hit that bell notification to get notifications when I'm posting new videos. So I hope you're all well, and thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye.